Well, hello there everyone, my name is Amy, this is The Opinionated Woman, and welcome to my best books of the year so far. We are halfway through the year. The first 6 months is like come and gone, so it's time for me to do my biannual best books of the year. I get really overwhelmed filming sit-down videos sometimes, and I can dissociate, so I film 2 smaller videos, best books of the year so far, and then the second half of the year, instead of doing a mid-year one and then a big one at the end, because it's just too overwhelming for me, and then I forget what the books are about. So I'm going to talk to you about these. In making this list, I realized only one of these is straight. And I think, yes, obviously that's because I've been buying and reading more queer books, but I just think it's fucking hilarious that out of a pile of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, only one is straight. That's just hilarious. But anyway, let's get into the books. The first one we have to start off with is an audiobook, and that is Chef's Kiss by TJ Alexander. This is by a non-binary author. It popped up on my script and I thought it looked cute, and now I've seen it start to pop up on TikTok, but it's basically a love story set in like a... Do you remember when Bon Appetit was like really popular before they had the racism scandal? I mean, they might still do these videos, I just don't watch them anymore. But with like a big test kitchen, like with a big like food magazine, and then they're making like big like viral videos basically. And at the beginning of the story is when they just started to implement that, and they bring in a new kitchen manager called Ray. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're following our main character Simone, who is a chef who works in this kitchen. She's very reluctant about the whole video thing. She's bisexual. And then this new kitchen manager comes in, Ray, and she's like, doesn't really know how to handle them because they're very boisterous and loud. And like, they're just a very happy, bubbly person. And Simone doesn't quite know what to do with that. And then Ray comes out to them as non-binary, and they have this like long, very long, drawn out, like slow burn kind of romance. And there's a lot about transphobia in here, sort of like take the Bon Appetit issue that happened, if you know what happened there, and replace it with transphobia, and that's sort of like a plot line that goes along here. But it was super cute, and it was really funny, and it just made you fall in love with the characters. And this is a series, so there's a second book about it, Ray's roommate and a man that she dates or something like that. So I'm really keen to read that. It's just nice to like start off with like a really cute little romance, because I used to be so reluctant to put cute little romances on my favorite books of the year, and I'm like, why? They're like legitimately really good books. So yes, Chef's Kiss, number 1. Then we have our token straight, and that's Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. This is a classic, like a sci-fi classic that I really did not expect to like, but my sibling gave it to me to read, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a go. So this is set in a dystopian London, basically. We're following our main character Bill, who was in hospital when this meteor shower happened. So his eyes were covered and he didn't see the meteor shower. Next day he wakes up, and it turns out that most of the world's population has gone blind. And so he gets out of the hospital and everything like that, and not only has everyone gone blind, but these plants that they've been harnessing and using to make an oil called Triffids have started escaping their fields because they can walk, and they are so creepy. They've got 3 little legs, and they've got a little stinger. Pew, pew, pew. It's just so gross. They're so nasty, and they're like walking around London attacking these people who can't see, and it's freaking wild. So we follow Bill and this woman Gisela that he meets, and throughout them experiencing London, getting out of London, like trying to survive in this new world. And it was actually not as stressful as I thought it was going to be, because that's why I avoid books like this, because they make me super stressed. But this one was really great. So if you're into sci-fi, even if you're not into sci-fi, because I'm not, like, give Day of the Triffids a go. It's like really well worth a read. Next, we've got The Sentence by Louise Erdrich. This book I picked up for my birthday in March. The main character is bisexual, which is why it is queer. And I had heard so much hype about it, but oh, it smells so good. But I kind of went into this a little blind, and I was really glad that I did. Basically, the story follows our main character, Tuki, who is a Native American. And she just comes out of prison, starts working in this bookshop. And the bookshop's, like, very loyal but very frustrating customer dies and comes to haunt the bookshop. And so that's the premise behind this whole thing. It gets a little bit creepy, but it's also set against the backdrop of, it's across 1 year basically, so the end of 2019 to the end of 2020. We all know what happened in that period of time, so we've also got slightly more of an insular experience of them working in the bookshop, like sending books out to people via post and things like that, and the very small group that she's living with at home, like her partner and her partner's daughter and her son. And there's just something about the way this is written that just had me turning pages like crazy. Like, I wanted to be in Tuki's head. Like, it's just small interactions and hints at their culture and little mysteries that she has to sort out. And just like the interminglings of the people in the story and the different cultures, I just thought it was so beautifully done. I think this author has another book that came out recently about the Ojibwe people, because she's Ojibwe, and I would love to pick that up. So yeah, if you like literary fiction and you want a little bit of a spooky vibe, this one's great. Then I finally read The Vanishing Half by Brit, Bennett, and it immediately went onto my favorite books of the year. This book has been spoken about so much, but basically it follows a set of twins who are very white passing, they're very pale skinned, and circumstances happen so that this pair of twins splits up, and one twin marries a black man, has a black child, and lives as a black woman. The other one marries a white man who thinks that she's a white woman and has a white child and is very rich and lives a life of lies and luxury. And then it also, which I wasn't expecting, follows their daughters who somehow by chance meet. And it's really complexly about trauma and about race and about colorism. And it's just so beautifully handled, and the characters are so sympathetic, and I just feel like it handles a bunch of really important issues in a beautiful way that's actually like really entertaining to read. So, and also there's a trans character in here, which I didn't expect. So yeah, Vanishing Half is worth all of the talk. Oh my god. Speaking of a book that's worth all of the talk, Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Azevedo. This is a book written in verse. I have not read a book in verse in a while. And this one I was determined to pick up. And it's following two sisters. It's YA. It's following two sisters who don't know that they're sisters. So what are their names? Camino and Yahaira. And one of them lives in Costa Rica. Yes? Costa Rica? Dominican Republic. So one lives in Dominican Republic, one lives in New York, and they don't know about each other until their dad dies on his way to or from, I think his way to Costa Rica to visit that daughter. And then through this they find out about each other, and it's a beautiful exploration of family and found family and grief, and how to process loss, especially when you find out things about the person after they've gone that you need to come to terms with. And literally, like, look how few it's so deep and nuanced, and there's hardly any words on each page. Elizabeth Azevedo is masterful, and like, I read The Poet X and fell in love. This did it even more, and now I need to read The Fire on High and Family Law really badly. Oh my gosh, this book was part of my Pride reading, and it it completely had me in its clutches. Like An Ordinary Wonder by An Ordinary Wonder by Buki Papillon is about our main character, Otto, who is intersex. They are visibly intersex, so their parents know about it, and they let them know that they are not right, that they're something different. It's set in Nigeria, and they very clearly like treat Otto differently, even though Otto is a part of a set of twins, and his twin is female. And this uses like folklore like in a really beautiful way. Like whenever Otto's in a stressed sort of situation, he sort of dissociates into this folkloric sort of setting, which like self-soothes him almost, and it's really beautifully written. Like the writing in this, it's a debut and the writing is stunning, but the way Otto is treated is so appalling by his parents, and it really breaks your heart. But there's a few characters in here that just make you fall in love with them so dramatically, because they let you know that there is good in the world, that people are not all bad. And through those relationships, Otto's allowed to explore themselves, and they get to figure out who they actually are through those people and through having the space to blossom, basically. And it's just wonderful. If you haven't picked up this book yet, do yourself a favor. Like, fuck, it's so good. Maybe this is the best one of them all. This is the best book of the year so far. I'm calling it. Buki Papillon. Genius. Right. Another book. And it's about lesbians. Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Malinda Lowe. This is also a pride read for me. This is a historical fiction YA novel set in Chinatown in San Francisco in the 50s. So like think Red Scare, all of that vibe. It's just after the war. And being gay is a big no-no. But our main character, Lily, she knows she's different, and she sees a flyer for this club called the Telegraph Club, and there's this male impersonator on there, and she absolutely she gets obsessed with this place. And she meets this girl called Kath, who's been in her class this whole time, but they didn't really connect. So through a set of circumstances, Kath sees the flyer of the male impersonator, and she lets Lily know that she's been to the Telegraph Club before, and does she want to go? And I don't want to spoil anything that happens, but it's just a wonderful book about coming of age and exploring your sexuality in a circumstance where the world just is not on her side. This is the 50s in Chinatown. Being a lesbian was not okay back then, in society. And this just looks at that little snapshot in time so perfectly, and it just ends off with such hope, and I really appreciated that. This book is fucking great. And look at this cover. Look how cute they are. Little babies. So sweet. And then we're going to round out with another cute romance. So we started with a cute romance, and now we're going to finish with a cute romance. And that is Wild Things by Laura Kay. This book was given to me as a proof copy by my aunt, and I swear Julie never misses. This, you can tell she's in publishing. So Wild Things is following Eleanor and her group of friends, Jamie, Will, and Ray. Ray is a woman, and Eleanor is completely head over heels in love with her. And Eleanor's feeling kind of like she's in a rut, romance-wise, job-wise, all of that kind of stuff. So she challenges herself to have a year of wild things. So every month she does a wild thing. And we start the book off in the first paragraph with her being the third wheel of the most awkward failed threesome. And it is gold. It would be the best movie scene. It would be so fucking funny. So we follow Eleanor doing these crazy things. And through a bunch of circumstances, her and her friends all go together and buy a house in the countryside together and decide to do communal living while they do up this fixer-upper of a house. And their gay friend Jamie gets chickens and starts an Instagram account. And it's just, they commute to London, and then they come back home and they have like cute little village activities. They have like karaoke. Like, it's so funny, and it had me laughing literally out loud at so many of the different parts of this book. Man, it was hilarious. But then at the same time, like, Eleanor is living with the person that she's been in love with for years. So, like, obviously things happen. So, and tensions happen. It's very good and very funny and very interesting. And I'd love to read from this author again. So, there you have it. That is the 8 best books of the year so far for me. Have you guys read any of these books? Let me know down below if you've read any of them. As always, my social media is down below. I am very active on TikTok and Instagram, so if you want more of me, there's down there. There's also a little coffee link. It's a little one-time tip jar. If you ever want to support my channel, it would be very much appreciated. But other than that, like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff, and I'll talk to you next time.